Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City Attorney. My name is Rodolfo Valadares, and this evening we'll be discussing the Hathcock Community Center, and I'll be providing a progress report for it. Buildings do not define our community. People do. And these beautiful smiling faces continue to mentor and train our community. They took care of us as we grew up. They share their wisdom. They share their stories. They are part of the foundation of our community. And the Hathcock Center provides services for our seniors. And I do want to invite up Vanessa and Brandon from Crafty Gemini to discuss in details the services that the city provides out of the current Hathcock facility. So Vanessa, do you mind joining us, and Brandon? And you have a presentation?
No, she couldn't.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, and the rest of the commission. Thank y'all for having us today. My name is Brandon Wilson, and I'm part of Crafty Gemini Youth Development Incorporated. We're a nonprofit that works out of the city of Alachua, really the whole county, but we specialize here in our city. We focus on serving senior citizens as well as children. Really, anybody who wants to be served, we're kind of happy to help you. And we first just want to thank y'all for the opportunity to work in this city and provide fun things for our seniors and really for, like I say, anybody that wants to do anything fun and healthy. My wife is going to talk about the real work that we do because she does the real work. I just kind of make everything set up and then she come in and slam dunk every time. So I'll let her speak for herself and then we'll talk to me a little bit later. So thank y'all.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Ms. Vice Mayor, Commissioners. I'm Vanessa Wilson, and like Brandon said, we offer a lot of different programs in the community. Since collaborating with the City of Alachua, I'll kind of go through quickly the current programs and events and things that we offer here for senior citizens, since we are in charge of the senior citizen programming. Currently, we offer a weekly coffee and games event that goes on at the Hathcock Center every single Monday. We do bingo every Wednesday. We do monthly birthday potlucks, which happen on the last Wednesday of each month after our bingo sessions. I also teach arts and craft classes the fourth Thursday of every month at the Hathcock Center. All these activities we do at the current Hathcock Center. We have a dance gold class, which is a low impact dance class for seniors that we offer 3 times a month right now. That does not go on at the Hathcock Center. Okay, we have that at Legacy Park because of the space limitations and some flooring limitations that I'll talk about in a second. We also put on the senior field trips. So once a quarter, we take bus loads of seniors on different trips around the state. So when we first began, the Hathcock Center worked very well. When I started calling bingo, I think we're going into our 3rd year now doing this. So when I started with bingo, there were maybe 5 or 6 people showing up. So the space worked out really well. It met our needs. Since then, the participation has definitely grown steadily, especially for those Wednesday bingo sessions. We consistently get between 40 to 50, sometimes 55 seniors in attendance each week. And so, as we know, growth is a good thing, but I will say that we have outgrown that space. Although we've never run out of chairs, my husband is quick to jump in his truck and go pick up some more at Legacy Park whenever we do need it. It is getting crowded in there. And so my concern is that some seniors may stop attending altogether because there's no more space really for them to feel comfortable in the Hathcock Center, and the accessibility issue too, you know. Some of them can't get around. And so climbing up all the steps, we want to make sure that we're sitting them in a spot that they can have access to, you know, go get their coffee or go to the restroom. And so those safety limitations, in terms of that dance gold class that I mentioned that is currently hosted at Legacy Park, the current floor at the Hathcock Center is not level. So I'm happy to do like arts and crafts where I can have them seated and they don't really have to be getting up and walking around. But for the ideas that we have for the movement, mobility-based classes that we have providers for, that we have ideas for our seniors, we're definitely prevented from doing that in a responsible manner and in the current situation, okay? I have here that, the senior center, obviously, if we get a new senior center, it will definitely help us expand the wellness and movement programming that we want to do for our senior citizens, as well as improve the accessibility, comfort. More space equals, hopefully, more seniors coming to our programming. Okay. Now, personally, beyond the seniors, as Brandon said, we do a lot of work also with the youth in Alachua County and obviously in the city of Alachua. And we saw some of our students in here that were in the band that have taken my craft classes. So we've offered arts and craft classes in the EDP after school program at Mabane. And I've always had this idea of incorporating and creating some programming that's more intergenerational, where I want to do some gardening. So when I do gardening classes with the seniors, I have to limit it to something simple, easy that they can do in a little pot that they can take with them. I have the idea of having more of a community garden where the kids and the seniors work together, both in craft projects and also in something like a gardening space like that, where they can help each other. Where one is limited, the other can help. Where one has more knowledge and experience, they can help. So that's something that I would love to do, have that intergenerational programming here with, both the youth and the seniors of our community. I think that type of programming would definitely help build connection and a stronger sense of community for all of us here in the city of Alachua.
You done?
I think so.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. I'd just like to mention briefly that one of the really things that has me excited about possibly having a newish, some type of a revamp of the Hathcock Center is opportunity to have other folks serve as well, because we're not the only folks that have ideas of how to serve. But in our current space, you can really only have one service at a time. And so having something that's multifaceted will allow us to serve different groups. Like for instance, we're working with the elder care folks to start a feeding program. I'm sorry, meal program. I feed animals all the time, so I think feeding, that's what I think. But this is for senior citizens, a meal program. But you basically have to be 60 years old, and so they want to do it and like do fun activity, but that's cutting out some of our seniors. And so if we had a space where we could do multiple things at once, we could have some folks doing the meal program and some folks doing something totally different, have kids doing things. And like I said, the main thing is having other providers coming in and serving alongside us or even just on their own working with the city. And so we think it's something that whatever form it does take, it should be beneficial to everyone as long as everyone is allowed to kind of be involved with it. And that's our goal. And so we just hope that y'all do something great like y'all always do. And we'll be waiting to hear so we can get to expanding our options for everybody. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Oh, if y'all have any questions, I'm sorry.
I do.
You're supposed to have questions.
Thank you so much for sharing. When is the next trip?
Ooh, you're not
So we got a one trip coming up Wednesday. Okay, Wednesday. Now I believe somebody got with Reverend Brown, so I'm not sure if he got with you yet, but I know that he did get the message. So Wednesday, we're going to Lake City. For our yearly, we go to the Old Time Country Buffet. It's like a Valentine's trip.
Yeah, old time.
Yeah. So we're going up there. That's kind of like our smallest trip of the year, kind of like our easiest one. So we start with that one, and then I think the next one will be in May. And y'all will be finding about that very very soon. But
Thank
Wednesday.
you. Appreciate it.
Wait, one more quick comment. I love all the things you're doing. I love the idea of gardening and the food, like growing the vegetables, and I think that would be something we keep talking about.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I'm all for that. If we can, Rodolfo, help out with that, that would be great.
Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for not just telling us, because some of us do know what you've been doing, but for our community here, so that they know what you've been contributing to our community for a few years now. I would just wanted to, one thing that jumped out at me about what you talked about, and it's kind of in line with Commissioner Ringerson said, but how important it is, and you've tapped right into it, to have the seniors and the children doing together, because the seniors have so much to contribute to our community and so much wisdom and so much history that they can pass on to the next generation. That is so important. And I don't want to. I don't have the study in front of me or anything like that, but I know that there have been studies that have said that grandparent role models are so important to have in our children's lives. So whether it is truly their grandparent or it is just a senior role model in their lives, it makes a difference in how they end up leading their lives. And you've tapped right into that. And so I, with you, of course, am highly looking forward to the revamped version of the Hathcock Community Center, because there's so much potential and so much growth that we can have with it. So I want to thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you.
All right, thank y'all.
Vanessa, Brandon, thank you so much for taking care of those who took care of us so well. And we do have a handful of seniors in the audience, and I'm not going to ask them to stand up, but I do want to give my greatest appreciation for all the work you guys did to help build our community. So thank you guys for being here today, and thank you for being so instrumental. And so one word that was asked is, if you guys decide to do that, we're building it, we're getting it done. And the purpose of this presentation is to provide a progress report of the activities that are currently going on. And so events that are happening right now have been done, being done, or scheduled to be done. The site's being surveyed. So if you go out there right now, you'll see stakes throughout the whole entire survey. We are currently doing the soil testing to look for both percolation for stormwater basins, but also the foundation to go ahead and build the building. The other item we're currently working on is the drainage to the site. That's something that's quickly overlooked. This site does have some drainage issues. Our job is to tackle it, manage it, and make it not an issue anymore. The other thing we're currently doing is we're coordinating with our utilities, making sure we have adequate for all those items. We're also looking at the roadways. We're trying to improve the roadways. Northwest 159th lane is not paved. The goal for this project is to get that addressed as we move forward. The other item we're currently engaged in is structural inspections of the Hathcock Center. And so there's been conversations in the public saying this building has been so good for our community. What other potentials can we get out of it? So we're currently having it structurally inspected. And the other one that goes hand in hand and was briefly noted is life safety inspection of the building. So again, to provide this board with all the correct options, we need to make sure that building is safe and adequate for for whatever use you guys determine in the future. All these things are being done right now. So this is the first step. And as we engage in the design, we have the ability and we have the opportunity to do public art. And we also have the opportunity to do historic preservation. And so staff will be engaging the Parks and Rec Board to go ahead and form the committee and provide recommendations to this board for the use of public art as that opportunity provides itself within the design, and also the historic preservation. Our goal is to engage our resource advisory board and have them go ahead and form committees and make presentations and recommendations for this board. So the chair for the Parks and Recs is Carol Velasquez Richardson, and the chair for the Senior Advisory Board is Reverend John Brown. And we will begin engaging those chairs to present to their boards and hopefully tie in these opportunities as we move the design forward. Mr. Mayor, that concludes our presentation and progress report for the Hathcock Center. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question. City Manager, what is the specific confirmed start date for construction at the Hathcock Center?
So as we do these inspections, those dates can be more defined. We have increased the scope for the Hathcock Center because we had a lot of feedback that parking was a constraint. Was presented to this board was a purchase of a parcel. We purchased that parcel. And so scope for this project has increased. But even with that scope increase, it is necessary to have this one facility serve what we're trying to do.
Okay. Because my understanding is that we have to go through the design contract agreement. Is that correct? Or are we just waiting for the design, approval of design, and then going into building, the building contract portion?
So the design's being performed, being conducted, being completed. We will grab that design, put it out to bid, and when we have bids, that will be presented to this board for the best way to move forward with the contractor.
So the design will not come back before this board. Is that correct?
There will be elements of the design that will come back before the board. For example, stormwater basins or engineering feeds, they're designed as needed to be designed. There are constraints and characteristics that you guys provided, for example, the aesthetics, the look, the way the building does appear, that will be brought before this board. What I just presented to you is the public art component will be presented to this board. So there are key features that will be presented to the board.
Okay.
That's
Do
correct.
we have an idea of when those designs will be presented back to this board?
We will provide an update on the schedule as we get better dates. These components that were presented today, as things are defined, will affect the schedule. And so, for example, if the structural component comes up that everything is good to go, our response is simple. If it turns out there's a lot of work that needs to be done for the structural component, depending on the magnitude of that effort, will determine how much work needs to be done.
So
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Commissioner?
So what I'm trying to understand here is if we're going to be starting breaking ground, like when is that expectation? Are we expecting summer 2026? Are we expecting like it bleeding into the next fiscal year? That's where I'm trying to understand when that is going to happen.
So when you do a design, it starts off as schematic, broad picture, broad brushes. We went through a lot of workshops, a lot of things were presented to this board. Every single time we brought something to this board, you guys provide direction to help us define exactly what the design is. There are still outstanding items. As they get refined, we can go ahead and provide a schedule that we can easily march forward to.
Okay, so then circling back, we don't have a specific date yet on when construction will start.
We have a preliminary schedule that we put together back in July, and we're still trying to recover schedule, move forward with schedule, look at optimizing the schedule. Again, those avenues can be taken once these components are better defined.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening. My name is Faith Collins. I live in Alachua Hills. My voting precinct is 53. I know it's coming up. Alternative locations is on the agenda. I see that on here, so that's cool. But I hope you just consider my comments or thoughts on it before you get into that. There are 2,766 voters that use precinct 53. That's according to the SOE website. I looked that up today. 63% of those registered voters are Black Americans. Those numbers are important to me. My concern with the issue is there's been no opportunity for community engagement. It's our voting location, and I was blindsided by this information at the last meeting. So I know community engagement is one of your goals. She just gave a presentation on that. So maybe presenting this and having a workshop or discussing it with the people that it affects would have been a better idea before just changing the location. Another concern is lack of transportation availability. We don't have public transportation in the city of Alachua. So a lot of people are going to be relying on friends and family and neighbors who also have to go vote. Do we allow early voting? Yes or no? Is it advertised? I've heard people say that you can. I've heard it come up that you can't. For changing a location and causing a potential hardship for voters, maybe we should open up early voting. And how are you planning on notifying all the voters of precinct 53? I don't always look at my bill when I get it. If I go online when I'm doing my budget and I pay my bill, I just collect my bill. It could be 3 months and I just kind of review them later. So door knockers, Facebook, direct communication with people, how do you plan on notifying people? But most importantly, I oppose changing it. I know it's temporary. I get that. But I oppose changing it before the April election. last year during the election, I did canvassing, and a lot of people weren't even aware that there was an election going on. So, how are we going to notify people that their polling place has been changed when they're not even aware an election's going on? So, it does feel like we're disenfranchising voters. There's no finalized plans, no construction start date. What's the push to change it before April? Why not before the next election? And maybe take the opportunity to engage the community in alternatives. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if you will please remind our citizens, these are comments on subject matter not on the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, can I get clarification from the city attorney regarding when we say subjects not on the agenda, how does that fit with our sunshine law regarding access to public comment?
Mr. Mayor, the idea is if precincts 53, using this as an example, is on the agenda, the subject matter of talking about whether to change the existing polling place or to move it really should come under agenda item review of the polling place. That's the concept of it. So that subject matter should really happen there.
Mr. Mayor, one more question. And if the commission decides not to second a motion, how do we handle that?
Then it's a motion that fails.
All right, thank you.
My name's Antonio Hall, and I'm a concerned citizen as the point of suppressing votes. And we're thinking that the move to actually start construction before the April election, which she was just speaking upon.
Mr. Mayor, can I please point out, these questions that are being asked are going to be addressed during the agenda item A. And so, again, I would recommend these comments be limited to topics not on the agenda.
Yes, can you just comment on the subject and not the agenda, please?
Okay, my subject is there a start date? Which he actually asked you, was there a start date coming up, and you said you didn't know, you're not, and I just want to put out here our opinion as for citizens that we are concerned. So is that illegal to say that? I'm just here to tell you that we're concerned and we really don't want this to start before April. Okay, thank you.
Hello, my name is Soria Lindberg. Talking about keeping the Hathcock Center open is not on the agenda. What you have on the agenda is alternative polling places. Hathcock is not an alternative polling place. Hathcock is where your voters have voted for quite some time. And to my neighbors here in the room, listening to a random white girl who doesn't vote at Precinct 53, you can speak. You have the right to speak for 3 minutes. And I do not like, I'm sorry, I'm a nice person, but I do not like that you stack the agenda with items to help developers and engineering companies, 3 long items about land use. I'm sorry, but the heart of the matter in this room is not redoing land. It's where people can vote this April. So people have been sitting here, they listen to a symphony, they listen to beautiful presentations. If they want to talk about keeping the Hathcock Center open, I say we do it. So to get to that, you can't tell us what to say. Okay, so you can adjust your polling locations in your election proclamation within 30 days of the election. So that's mid-March. You have 3 commission meetings to make this right. If it's not today, you can do it at the next meeting to amend your election proclamation. Ms. Collins said 63% of Black voters in the last election went there. I drove by the last election, Mr. Mayor, I saw your wife outside holding a sign. It's an important place. Commissioner Fletcher tried to get information from the city manager. What's the timeline? He started it in July. Mr. Mayor, we did not know that the Hathcock Center would be closed in April until 2 weeks ago. Staff started this in June. How insulting to the public that they had this in, I saw your eyebrows go up. You started this in June and July, and we heard about it 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry, that is just unacceptable, but you can make it right. It's not too late. I don't want people listening online or in the room to feel that it's over and done with. Um, the election's 60 days away. You don't even have a bid for construction. When you put a bid out, it's about 30 days, 15, 30 days. You're not going to find someone to do the construction before then. And if you are, please let us see. You said, what is the preliminary schedule? We don't know. Mr. City Manager said the dates are not defined. You can make even a motion today that says, hey, staff, please don't start construction until April 15th. That's all you got to do. You could say, my citizens do not want to vote anywhere else. Please wait till April 15th. In November 24th, you approved $300,000 for design. It's not done yet. It's not working. So people listening here, you can talk because the other agenda item is alternative locations. And this topic is keeping the Hathcock Center open. Keeping the Hathcock Center open, Ms. Vice Mayor, is not on the agenda.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Charlie Jackson. Okay, thank you. I need some backing.
My
Hey,
name is Ted Welcome.
And I'm candidate for District Number 2. I'm very proud. I want to make change. Some things I want to get done my first term when I get elected is, first of all, I understand the mandated programs. We got to do the things that the governor say we got to do. We got to have a jail. We got to have animal services. We got to have fire. We got to have parks. We got to have law enforcement. We got to have all of those things. That's the first thing we do as a elected official. Then secondly, that's most important here is taking care of our veterans. We're in an environment where we have the largest population of veterans in the Southeast United States. VA served the largest number of veterans almost in this country. We want to make sure they're taken care of. We want to make sure their spouses are taken care of, their caregivers are taken care of. Then, folks, we need jobs. We need jobs that's going to enable our young people to stay here at home and earn a living. We need credible jobs. We need jobs for skilled and unskilled workers. Then following up on that, other things we need, I heard it earlier, and that really got me fired up because we need activity centers for our young people and for our elder folks. If we do those type things, guess what? We'll have a ready-made facility that can be converted into a storm-ready distribution across all of our 8 or 9 municipalities. We don't have to wait for mainstream county to bring you something. You already have it pre-designated there and ready to go. And by doing all of that, let me tell you that last thing is producing a master plan. A plan that will invite all the life and quality for all of our citizens, not just the east side or the west side, but a balance across the entire Alachua County. Creating that master plan will bring all of our municipalities, Alachua, Newberry, Archer, everybody to the table. So that when I went to a rezoning meeting last night and the night before, the school board is going through rezoning. Why? Because we do not have a master plan. The school board shouldn't be fighting this thing on their own. That's why we have county commissioners, to build master plan, to bring all of the people together. Let's build how we expect for Newberry, Alachua, High Springs, Gainesville to look in 10 years. You saw the numbers come out of the comprehensive plan study tonight. I think if we just chop the first 15 years off, narrow the gap, and let's look at what's happened in the state of Florida in the last 5 years, then you can probably project what's going to happen in the next 5 years. Florida is growing at a rapid rate. I have traveled the world. I understand. I've lived in a lot of places. I've seen things done right, correctly. And I'm telling you that with the support of smart commissioners like you all, I'm very impressed to come out here. I live in Jonesville. I've never been in this city hall. This is a beautiful building. I'm very proud to be a citizen of this area. And with saying that, by building all of that, we will enhance the living environment for all citizens across this county. We have this opportunity. I've fought for freedom, democracy, and justice, and I fight to continue for the right for our people.
Thank you. Ted Welcome, lifelong resident of Alachua, Florida. I have one question for City Manager. I kept hearing the phrase revamp. So I want to leave here with the right understanding of what's going on. This place is going to be renovated or tore down, and the renovation is going to start during the voting process. Am I hearing this right?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. We're not renovating the building. We're building a new building suffices this community area. We have
But the same location.
same location. Yes, sir.
And it's going to happen during the voting process.
So part of planning doesn't occur the day before something happens. We've been planning this since July. During that agenda item A, we'll show all the schedules, all the decisions, a lot of the questions that are being asked will be mitigated at that time, and then we could provide comment from the public specific to whatever might be lacking at that moment. So thank you.
Well, I have a couple of other questions that probably beyond the scope of this meeting, but I'd like to put you on the spot. Can I have a personal meeting with you?
Yes, we'll schedule. I'm willing to meet with anybody who helps move our city forward. So yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
I'll be back.
Thank you.
All right. So, my name is Wilbur Jackson. Wilbur Jackson. So, basically, what y'all are telling us is that us as a community, we're not supposed to know what is going on until that time. I'm just asking. What are y'all telling us? What are y'all telling us as the citizens of Alachua? Oh, we're just going to do this and we're going to change that? How can you do that and we're not knowing anything? As a citizen of Alachua, I want to know what is going on. I understand what they're saying they're doing. I'm with them what they're doing, but I'm not with what's going on. How can we make this city a beautiful city when don't nobody know that? Y'all get it together and y'all talk amongst each other and y'all come and y'all get with this whole community right here because this is the whole city. Y'all list the congregation. So y'all need to talk to the city and y'all talk amongst the congregation.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Tamara Robbins. So, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor Brown was correcting the citizens during their First Amendment rights that this item was going to be addressed during item A on agenda items. Well, what that says is approve the Alachua Branch Library as temporary location for Precinct 53 during the 2026 City Commission election, replacing a legacy park as a temporary location of Precinct 53 for the 2026 City Commission election. I didn't hear Hathcock Center mentioned once. And in fact, when the Hathcock Center progress report was given, the citizens weren't given an opportunity to speak. So when you say people have to speak on something not on the agenda, well, if you don't allow people to speak to items on the agenda, then you're just shutting everybody down, right? So when I heard the progress report, first of all, Mr. Valadares mentioned surveyed soil drainage, utilities, roadways, structural, life safety, design, art, and historic. What about rezoning? City purchased an adjacent parcel. That has to go through the rezoning process. Has to be advertised, has to come before public hearings, go before the planning and zoning, has to come before you guys. Gee whiz, that's going to take some time. Then you have to come up with a site plan. And I believe, Mr. Mayor, that a site plan has to go through staff review and it has to come before the planning and zoning board. It has to get approval, it has to go through public hearings. Could be wrong, but I'd like to be corrected if I am. So that takes time. The fact that someone decided that construction was going to start and made the decision to move the polling location to an alternate site, I'd really like to know what really went on. because the citizens in this community have been duped. And you all think nobody's paying attention? Well, we're all paying attention. And you don't like people to know that there's an election coming up, but we all know now. And everybody's going to be paying much closer attention. So the Hathcock Center should remain open, should support the polling location that it has for years, and stop lying to the public about what is going on and playing word salad games with explanations. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Teresa Carter, and I just want to say, when I heard about the precinct being moved, precinct 53 going to be moved, I was very, very applaud to that because of the simple fact that that's where I vote at. And I know a lot of people catch rides just to go to that location, and it's close to the community where I live at. Another thing is, actually sent an email to the city manager and let him know how I felt about it. And at that moment, I was thinking that they was just going to move, but not until after we vote. Because when I came to one of the meetings, I was concerned about was things going on in the community, and I thought that they was going to have we was going to be able to view everything from home. Because it's hard for me to get out sometime to the meetings, so I have to rely on my cousin to give me the information. But I don't want to see the precinct leave before we vote, because I didn't even know that we had a voting election coming up until my cousin told me. I'm like, what? And then I got upset again. I said, well, how they gonna do that before we vote? I said they never told us when they're gonna start building on the new Hathcock Center, building the new. I said, because I was there and they didn't have a date yet, and I never heard about a date. And then that's when all of a sudden they said we was moving. I'm like, so whatever y'all do, please don't move the precinct until after we vote. And maybe by next year, we'll have a new building and we can still vote to our same location. That's the reason I'm here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Phyllis Wilcox Strickland. I just have two things to discuss, and that is Precinct 53. I agree with kind of like what everybody has said, and I concur that the precinct should stay open till April, and then for the midterms, we'll have to go to an alternative place in November if the building isn't made. I just don't see why we should have to move it until after April. And the second thing is the utility bills. Um, we there is no consistency with the utility bills. Our bills are due on the 10th. My neighbor said, "Oh, my bill is 300 and something dollars," and I said, "Oh, it's a 36-day bill." So we range from October was 30 days, September was 28 days. Um, December was 36 days, and this month that we have this due tomorrow is 36 days. People, I budget, and when you have 5 weeks to pay for a utility bill versus 4 weeks, Verizon, my bill was a 30-day cycle. I pay the same thing every month for Verizon. I pay the same thing every month for my insurance. Everything is consistent except the utility bills for the city. It goes up and down and it messes with your funds. So I would just like some consistency where we have a 30-day bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any more comments? Jackson Humas, candidate for City Commission seat 3. There was a lot of great presentations today, you know, from the kids playing the music. Fantastic. That's what we want to see. We heard the presentation from the city manager. Fantastic. That's what we want to see. We heard the presentation from the young lady in the back that did the I Pledge program. Fantastic. But my concerns are simply this. The day after Martin Luther King Day, where all of you sat on the front bench at Martin Luther King event, and the very next day, you drop a bomb about Precinct 53. Martin Luther King would be turned over in his grave to know and understand that that went down the way it did. And hearing from the people, I know you guys have heard emails, phone calls, all of that, still can sit there with the same face and not hear and understand the cries of the people who's affected the most, the people who voted for our mayor, the people who voted for Commissioner Fletcher, the people who voted for Shirley Green Brown, and probably all of you, and still can not understand and hear the cry of people, the hearts of the people who put you in office. That's very, very disconcerting. And especially, this is Black History Month. Plain and simple, Black History Month. And you keep hearing about Black folks being suppressed, voter suppression. Yes, they're looking for a good, great, wonderful place in the Hathcock Center in the future. But we're not talking about the future. We're talking about right now. We're talking about the 14th of April. There's no reason. If anybody can give me one reason why it can't be the 15th of April or anytime after the 15th. Still, there's a lot of work, and we've heard there's a lot of work that still needs to be done to make this happen. And the community, again, will support that. But the issue is not the work getting done. The issue is not fixing up the Hathcock Center or remodeling or whatever you're going to do to it. We all want that. We all want to participate in activities that's coming to the city of Alachua and be a part of the growth that's happening here. But again, going back to smart growth, again, taking the people and the citizens in consideration when we're making these decisions. And with that, I yield.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, my name is Glenn Anderson. I have spoke with the city manager and the mayor about the Hathcock Center. My thing is, if you're gonna move one precinct, why can't you move the other one? Why can't you move precinct 63? If you're gonna do it, put all that one place, not just move the Hathcock and don't move Turkey Creek. So while we're being punished, Turkey Creek not gonna be punished. Why can't all precincts be at one place? That's me.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Deetra Sherman. I wasn't going to say anything, but from what I'm hearing from citizen comments is that a lot of the citizens feel like this is another tactic from the city of Alachua to suppress the votes of the citizen of Alachua, which I know that is not the case. I'm sure it may be a slight oversight that the planning came with April, the timing of everything. So with it being an oversight and with hearing how the citizens feel, I am sure our commissioners, you guys can come together and decide, knowing that they're thinking it's voter suppression or whatever it was an oversight, because I cannot believe that our commissioner would intentionally plan this around voting to suppress the votings of the community. Knowing that is not the case, I would bid or ask that the commissioners come together in good faith to the community, knowing the histories that we've had with voting here in the city, to say, hey, that we've heard the voices of our community. Let's think about pushing this back to the end of April, just so that it does not appear that this was the case among our from our commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City Attorney. My name is Rodolfo Valadares, and this evening we will be reviewing precinct number 53. So this is the primary schedule as we first started the Hathcock Center project. This schedule was put together in July, before July, and each one of the city commissioners had the ability to review this as we went forward. So this is the actual city manager's whiteboard, and please hold your judgment on my handwriting. This was just us trying to figure out how do we get from point A to point B. There's been a lot of conversation about about the Hathcock Center being built. This is the first city commission who used words and turned them into action items. And so going back well before July, we started planning out every single step of the project. And again, for example, August 11th, we had the first city commission meeting. We're going to review the scope. Now I can't read my handwriting. What's that one? We're going to review the scope. I know that's a community outreach. Oh, the plan, and go through the plan and the scheduling. We're going to have coordination with the city staff on August 18th. We're going to have public workshops held on August 21st. We had the idea when to mail out the notices. This was something we discussed quite a bit. Who do we engage in these workshops? Who draws a line? And those are the things we figured out. We wanted everybody in precinct 53 to receive the mail out notices on the work we're doing at the Hathcock Center. We had the schedule for the workshops and we had dates down. September 8th was going to be September 8th was going to be the second city commission meeting. We're going to review the scope, go over the plan, provide community feedback as we had the workshops, go over any engineering requirements that need to be done, coordinate with staff on September 15th. September 12th, I believe, is when the mail out notices had to go out for another second workshop on September 25th. So plan is just like a prayer to time, milestones to hit, and so forth. And so we commenced on this journey. So that was the calendar we had. We had it well before July. And again, all the city commissioners had the ability to review it, and we discussed it in detail. And we had the first city commission on August 11th. The first constraint we had was the property was very, very small. So we presented to the city commission acquisition of more property. We held the first public workshop on August 21st. Now, again, these public workshops were the first of its kind that you guys provided us direction on how to do. We held this at the Hal Brady Rec Center, which is adjacent to Legacy facility. And so we had workshops, we had working groups, we had a very good turnout of our residents to provide feedback. They were challenged to dream big, and they sure did. And so they had a wonderful engagement. We had great feedback, and the folks who attended these workshops were they told us how well it worked. They were able to have their voices heard. They had one-on-one conversation. They could go as fast or as slow as they wanted to go through. And so highly engaged. And then we went back to the city commission on August 25th, and we provided a summary of all the feedback that we got from our community. We identified direction items that we needed from the city commission. Again, the progress report for the Hathcock was presented on September 28th. On the 23rd, we provided updates on all the work that we were doing. And then we held the second public workshop. And so the second public workshop was additional details, additional work. Again, they were challenged to dream big. And what really touched me was when I heard their dreams wasn't for themselves. Their dreams were for others. What can we do for this Hathcock Center that impacts the others' lives? We had the seniors looking out for the youth, and we had the youth dreaming big for the seniors. And it was an absolutely wonderful time, great feedback. there you go. This is how much engaged we got with our community. And we asked difficult questions, and they provided as much feedback as possible. A couple things, again, I'm sorry, it's not as clear. One of them was they wanted a bigger space. The other one was address parking. Another one was to address the drainage. Another one up here was to have ADA compliance because there was concerns with the existing building. The list went on and on and on, and we received all that feedback. Again, after these workshops, we presented all our input to the City Commission. The City Commission refined those design goals and presented it to staff. Staff took it on November 24th. Now we have the box. We have all of our constraints. Now we're designing. We brought this in front of this board. You guys approved it. Go ahead and get it designed. And then earlier today, as we're going through design, you guys heard, hey, there's opportunities to do public art and there's opportunities to do a historic center. And again, you guys provided direction for that. And so going back to the original, again, just a plan, how do we do? So the first City Commission meeting was supposed to happen August 11th. We nailed it. The mailouts were supposed to go out for the workshops. We nailed it. August 18th was supposed to be the other meeting with staff. We nailed it. August 21st was supposed to be the presentation to the City Commission. Was a workshop. We nailed it. Second City Commission, we nailed it. Every single one of these dates, we can say it together, we nailed it. And so that's the first part. But as we're doing this design, we did have some scope creep. Things did get more than we initially charted. And so a phrase I've heard twice from this dais was, failing to plan is planning to fail. And so with those words, we took note and we did proactive planning. We know through proactive planning, there are fewer surprises as we plan ahead. The better use of resources as we know things are coming. And it provides more flexibility. It provides this board with flexibility. When we presented the precinct change, we didn't come to you saying you have to make a decision today. We're providing the planning and the more flexibility for you guys. So part of the things we did in our proactive planning is we looked at operations. We identified the services and the programs that will be affected by us doing this work in construction. We looked at, which services can be paused, what services can be continued, and then we also made plans and schedules for alternate locations for these services to continue. The answer is, as of right now, we're not planning on pausing any of the services. We're doing them all. With planning, we've, again, well in advance, knew that this building was going to be under construction. We coordinated to not have any reservations, no events. So again, it makes us looking ahead. We wanted to make sure that whatever temporary location we find was ADA compliant, and we wanted to make sure we communicate clearly with staff and volunteers. As we hit milestones and we have direction from the board, we're able to communicate clearly with staff and volunteers and the public. And once we have the firm direction from you, we will update our websites, we'll provide signage with temporary information, and we'll notify the public early and often. So when we think ahead, we spot risks and obstacles early before they turn into emergencies. And that's part of what we're doing. And so the temporary change to a voting precinct, this is not the first time the city of Alachua has gone through this. We've done this before. We have moved a voting precinct, and it was even further than what we're discussing today. Additionally, before the voting precinct was at the Hathcock Center, previously it was at the old fire station, which is right across from 441. And so that happened before. And what was presented to you guys earlier was all the activities that are currently happening. And so we're on track to get all the work done. These are the two that I'm having to address. And so given conversations with, actually at the beginning of the project, we were going to go as fast as we could to deliver the Hathcock Center. We gave little thought to salvaging that building. Commissioner Fletcher did present to me saying, hey, if there's any salvage value for this building, it would be good for the board to know so they can make informed decisions. He recommended doing a structural inspection, and he recommended doing health safety inspections. And I agree. Those would be very good for the board to know how to move forward with the buildings. So we have those scheduled. Those are being done. And so as we look ahead and we spot risk, there is a risk that as these inspections go through, it places the board to make very to make difficult decisions. If there are life safety concerns with this building that are identified, do we invest the money to bring it up to life safety code just to go ahead and demolish the building if that ends up being the case? Same thing with structure. There's a lot of issues with the floor. You heard one person kind of say they limit the activities because the floors are not even. There are big question marks there. And so there's a great potential that whenever we do these structural inspections for this building, whenever that's finalized, I'll be presenting to the board, we can create an emergency. And then we would have to let the public know, hey, last second change, we're moving the precinct from Hathcock Center, and then we have to scramble. And so this is very proactive. This is well in advance. We're communicating very heavily with the public. And so that's what we're trying to balance. And so there's a big question mark on the use. And it's not, does construction start? Is once these inspections go through, and I'm hearing a lot of issues with the building, it could make it a difficult decision for us to hurry up and scramble and address it. So the other facility we looked at, and staff recommended this last time, was Legacy Park. This is not an inclusive list, but this is part of it. For Legacy Park, the reason it made sense was, is it ADA accessible? The answer is yes. Is there adequate space? There's wonderful space. Is parking available? There's ample parking available. Traffic flow is wonderful. The lighting, the climate control, the reliability of the power, and the restrooms access. So all those, again, not inclusive list, all those are there. The other one is, again, we are currently using Legacy as, you heard the lady speak earlier today, we're busing the seniors. So seniors are used to that building. They've been at the building, and actually this Wednesday they're meeting at the building to collect on the bus and go ahead. And so it's with the community, they're very, very familiar with it. And the other one's continuity of service. And so as we look ahead, we see that that building will be offline as we do construction. We want to continue the services that are currently there. We have identified Legacy, and we got feedback from the resident. That's where all those services are going to be done. And so our thought process was, number one, the seniors are very familiar with Legacy. And as we transfer the services will be temporarily transferred over to Legacy Park also to do it. So it's that familiarity, and that's part of the thought process we had when we made the recommendation for Legacy Park. And so that one's good to go. The other item we looked at was St. Matthew's. We got a lot of feedback from St. Matthew's, and Reverend Weeks is the Reverend there, and Pastor Ruthie also supports. They're very, very diligent in our community, and they do the food drives on Tuesday. Every chance I get, I go, but they're faithful. They go every single Tuesday. So it's remarkable. And they did reach out to the city and say, how can we help? How can we serve? And so we did look at that building. And when it comes to the ADA accessibility, there's a couple items that are lacking. When it comes to adequate space, there isn't any because we need to have these voting machines secure. And so there's a big question mark there. Parking capacity is a question mark. Traffic flow is okay. Lighting, climate control, it should be okay. Reliability of power was an issue because there was a lack of plugs that were in the room, and the restrooms were not ADA compliant. And so, again, not inclusive of the list, but looking at that list, that did not suffice as a location that we would recommend to go ahead and do the voting. And so the last area we looked at was the Alachua County branch. And so again, I'm not gonna go through the list again, but going through all those things, all those boxes are checked, and it does meet the needs for doing a voting precinct. So given this metrics of how we're looking at things, staff is before you today with a recommendation to going ahead and having the Alachua County branch as the voting precinct for 53, given all the reasons we just discussed during this presentation. And I'm open to any questions, Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, just following up on my email I sent you, I didn't get some responses to it. So what is the specific confirmed start date for construction? Based off of what I'm hearing tonight is we do not know that. Is that correct?
So the construction start date will be refined once we have a design defined.
So at this moment, that's a no. Okay.
No,
So moving on.
that's not correct. So
well,
we do have that
is.
preliminary schedule, and we're trying to hit that preliminary schedule. And so that's what we're moving towards. And so if there's a possibility for us to recover the schedule, we'll recover. And again, depending on the scope, the broadness, the changes, the things that we see will dictate the schedule.
So again, there's no specific date. All right. So when we're looking at these, which one of these were actually evaluated before staff wrote the proclamation?
So you talking about these items right here?
Yeah. Which sites were evaluated by staff?
So these are not being evaluated by staff. We hired professionals to come in and do this evaluation.
Mr. Mayor, let me clarify. I'll refer back to my email. Did city staff affirmatively request that the supervisor of elections inspect or approve any new locations within the district before deciding to consolidate polling locations?
Okay, so again, let me back up a bit to the original schedule. So we use the original schedule to forecast potential issues. The supervisory elections, we did communicate back in September of this possibility. So we went through all the notice requirements. We had agreement that legacy facility is a facility that would suffice. And so again, this was done back in September when we're going through all these checklist items.
So I guess the question is, when was St. Matthew's and the Alachua Library evaluated?
And so when we received feedback from the public, and given last city commission meeting, that's when those sites were evaluated.
So they were evaluated after the proclamation. Okay. All right. So what it seems like is there's another part in there. We're talking about life safety and structural assessments of the Hathcock Center, which I agree. We should evaluate that stuff, as you know, many of the public has said is about conservation of the building. What are our options there? And I think as a commission, we need to know if it turns out, you know, there's an issue with it, like what is our financial impact on trying to preserve it, or bundling that with the current building, I guess, quote or request, what that would be. But my question is now we're basing it off of the thought that there may be something wrong with the building now, okay, that won't be detected until later, but before the election, thus it will close for the election, right? Say the building turns out there's asbestos in it, and we're going to find out that there's asbestos in it before the election, and therefore we have to close the polling location. Is that the concern?
Again, when we did that schedule, we identified every single milestone and obstacle that had to be addressed. And we addressed every single one of those milestones and obstacles. Back then, we knew that the building was going to be under construction. So we took the proper steps and we presented to this board staff's recommendation. And for the reasons why we recommended Legacy was because we went ahead and started transferring all those services to Legacy. Also, back in July, we said we're not taking any reservations at the Hathcock Center because of all the work that's being done. And so at that time, we also coordinated with Supervisor of Elections saying the City of Alachua has the recommendation to do it at Legacy Park. Can you help us go through with all the notifications, all the signage, all the requirement? Is that approved site? The answer is yes. And so we were going through all of our checklists and we presented to this board our recommendations for the temporary.
Because I'm concerned that if we're having the inclination or we're basing off decisions that there is something wrong with the building while we're currently having events with our seniors, to me, that seems like that's raising a red flag at the moment.
And so as soon as we get these findings, they'll be presented to this board. And if those findings recommend that there's no use of the building, we'll take immediate actions for no use of the building.
And so going back to the whiteboard written plan, is it currently on track as it was written on that whiteboard?
No, there's been delays because there's been scope creep.
Okay.
There was no intention to do structural inspections of the building. The most effective role was to demo it, go as fast as you can. The other one was the purchase of the parcel. That was not in the original scope, but as we got feedback from the residents, parking was an issue. We came up with a solution. Again, it was presented to this board, and I was just pointed out earlier, going through planning and zoning and all that stuff does add the timetable. And so even though the construction may have shifted, there are still things that are being addressed, inspected, and we have to feel those things. So it's basically a bird in the hand versus two in the bush. You know, there's a lot of question marks, but if we plan ahead and we communicate ahead and we coordinate ahead and we have discussions ahead, we can come up with the best solution for the city of Alachua. And that's what we're doing here. We're presenting all the pros, all the cons, and we're trying to provide that clear path on how to get from point A to point B.
Okay. So if we're taking into consideration the structural and life safety inspections, is there any reason why we would not be able to have Alachua as a polling location as well as Hathcock, depending on whether or not it closes based off those reports?
Could you just clarify? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So if we're saying that, okay, either the Hathcock building may or may not close because there is a study being done right now, and we don't know the results of that, right? Why aren't we allowed to have the Alachua Library for both of those precincts, as well as Hathcock available for that precinct, unless it's determined like there is like a life safety concern with that polling location?
We're trying to provide clear communication up front, and the last thing I would want to do is to cause confusion. So if we identify two locations, for example, we'll play worst case scenario at the Hathcock Center, and folks are anticipating to vote at the Hathcock Center, and then right before the voting, we say, nope, can't do it. We're changing locations. That's not leading. That's kind of not being clear. So that's what we're doing right here. We're
So
providing notification. We're providing very, very clear. Everything will be posted. All the residents in that precinct will receive mail. Our goal is to have as many, everyone vote. And so we'll be putting signs up, everything we can to do to communicate.
So just to be clear on this, your recommendation is not to have the Hathcock as the voting precinct, voting location for peace.
Our preference is to have Hathcock 53 as the voting precinct. Our concern is if we don't do the right steps to communicate with the public, there is the potential for us to have to say the last minute, nope, can't vote here, have to vote somebody else's. That will cause more confusion in the long run.
Sorry, I'm getting confused with this. So you are recommending that we move
No,
it back to Hathcock?
Our desire, if we had to put a hierarchy of things, Hathcock is the first. It would remain unless there's something or some reason why it can't. And so we've identified that. Our next one would have been legacy for the reasons why, and then the Alachua County Library would be the third. But based off of feedback from the residents, we have recommended to you guys to do the Alachua County Library in lieu of Legacy Park, because of the communication we've received from our public.
I'm sure that answered something.
Mr. Rodolfo, one quick question. The Alachua County Library branch is a previous approved site with the elections office. Prior, it was already one that they've used in the past.
So the previous site was the old firehouse. Library is just right down the road. And as a library, it is a pre-approved site. And we did have the supervisor of elections review that building and approve it. And so we, not approve it, provide the recommendations that it would suffice.
And did we, just out of curiosity, I know the Alachua Elementary School, are schools not a recommended polling spot?
I'm not familiar with that. These were the sites that we looked at, given the feedback we received from the public and the board.
Mr. Mayor, I spoke with Ms. Barton about this during that week. The issue as conveyed from the supervisors of elections to me with schools is having elections with the public on campus during school hours. So there's safety concerns they have with that, and they felt that a different type of public building is more preferable for the safety of the students.
Mr. Valdez, I like the fact that we're being proactive. However, I'm concerned if there's some structural issues with the Hathcock Center. If they are structural concerns with the floor other aspects, then we certainly don't want to put anybody in that building. If there are not any immediate structural concerns, would voting be permitted at the Hathcock Center?
So the two items I'm trying to balance are both the structural and then the life safety analysis that's going on. And so when we put together the approach, it was to see if we can reuse this building for another fit for purpose. And so as they go through and they identify things, I'm not a fire specialist, all that stuff. So as they identify life safety concerns, for example, the fire panel is not up to code. There's no strobe lights. The doors don't have to push bar emergencies. So as these things are identified, and now we know about it, the next question is, what actions do we take? Do we go ahead and invest in this building to put all those things in and allow the voting to happen and then tear down the building next month? And so that's what I'm trying to avoid. I'm trying to be clear, consistent, and informative as we get these feedbacks back from it. And so again, I'm not a structural engineer. However, I do see concerns about the floor not being uniformed. I am aware of the stormwater runoff and how that's been affecting the humidity on the floorboards underneath. Again, as I went through these workshops, I've heard folks reminisce about how that building was completely utilized for another application, used its life cycle, and relocated. The public did for this building, and they did the best they can to tie everything together. And so there's a lot of question marks on us checking all those boxes. And so what I'm trying to avoid is I do want to be, informative, provide all the public all the notice, let them know what we're addressing, and be upfront with it versus us continue at the Hathcock and then have put you guys in a very difficult position to respond quickly in emergency. And so that's why that's why we've been very proactive in our planning.
Mr. Mayor, I think it would be appropriate to jump in at this stage when you as a city are aware of problems, that presents liability. So if the floors are uneven, and even though the building sounds like it's been used very many times, but now we're aware of ADA compatibility, the doors, the fire code issues, and it sounds like a lot of people that are going to be frequenting this building for purposes of voting, and there are problems with the building, then legal steps in and says, well, wait a minute, that also presents some problems. And when you're aware of the problem, then it accentuates your liability issues.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question. Do we have any senior events this Wednesday?
The senior event this Wednesday is leaving from Legacy Park.
Okay. And then next week?
I can look at the schedule. I assume they will be. Yes, sir.
Okay. And we know that there's fire code issues, it sounds like.
No, sir. I said that I'm not a fire code expert or a structural engineer. The life safety analysis is being done. They'll identify things that are lacking in the building. And so these inspections are in progress. They're being done now, and we'll get the reports as quick as possible.
Do we know when we'll have that report?
And so, yes, of course, I pushed them to get the report as soon as I wanted it today so we can have these conversations. And when I asked them to get it done as soon as possible, it was a big pause. And I don't want to rush their work. I'd rather them do good quality work. I'm anticipating probably, I don't anticipate. We'll coordinate with them. I want them to do a thorough, good job.
So then moving this forward, right? We still have, I believe, the 30 days from a proclamation to make any final adjustments, right? Within the next 2 weeks, will we get those reports back?
Again, I can coordinate with them as much as we can, but no, there's no schedule on getting those reports back.
Okay. So okay. It just feels like we don't know when a lot of things are going to happen. And it's hard because we're on deadlines here. So it feels to me like we have to take action on moving it to the library today. However, what I would like is us to still evaluate the Hathcock as an option within our state mandated timeline to get those results back. One, I do not feel like it's fiduciary responsible for us to make a decision without verifying this. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with Clifford's evidentialism, but it basically says there's a story of a ship owner. Ship owner is trying to determine whether or not a ship is seaworthy or not, and so he has the belief that it could be seaworthy, but he doesn't do the fact checking on this. And so the ship ends up going out and ends up sinking. And so Clifford argues that there was moral failure because we did not look at all the facts on this. And so what I'm suggesting for us as a commission is, as much as I want to just say Hathcock right now, I don't feel like it is responsible for us to do that. I feel like it's responsible for us to get it to a closer precinct that is walkable, such as the library. But I do think that we need to evaluate Hathcock still within that time frame to make sure that we do provide the best option for our residents. Is that something we can agree on here?
It's something we'll work towards. Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't have my thing pulled up, but if somebody would like to start that motion.
While you're looking, thank you for the legal recommendation. And if I had to vote for a building, of course, it would be the Hathcock. That's where I vote. That's my polling place. So I'm hopeful that the citizens can understand what we're doing is for the safety of everybody. We don't want anybody falling through the floors. We don't want anybody tripping. We want you to be safe. Now, in terms of voting, I do my best, Glenn, to walk 10 miles to vote because it's just that important to me. So I say that to say we are not, absolutely not, trying to interfere with anybody voting. Black, white, green, polka dot. That's not what we do. That is not what we do. I
I'll
am a
second that.
citizen just like each of you. I have the right to vote just like you in a safe environment. A safe environment. I've been to the fire station to vote. I've been to Legacy to vote. Wherever I need to go, I'm going. So please know that we are trying to be proactive to provide the best safe venue for voting. That's our goal. That's our goal. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Adolfo, I would like to, there's two things I'd like to ask. One of them is not an ask, it's a statement. As we get older, and I know we're bringing up senior citizens that go to spots, right? As a person who is also getting older, I am aware of things around me. When I go somewhere new, and we will be bringing in people that may not have voted or moved to the city that does not understand the floor or things that you do. I do it all the time. I turn my flashlight when I go to new places, when I'm walking on a sidewalk. I know where my areas that I might trip and fall. So I'm just going to say that. I am a senior citizen. I guess over 55 is considered a senior citizen. I just want to say that as a person and a citizen. My other question, I did talk with supervisor elections myself also. One of the things that was brought up at the back in September and also after our last commission meeting, one of the things that was brought is to shuttle and transport people. They 100% that was not a good or liable thing to do. Did you also know about those liabilities and things for us to actually transport people?
Um, yes, given the liability concerns, that's not something we looked into in detail.
Okay. That's all I have for that.
Just one more question for the city attorney. The final deadline to make modifications to our proclamation for what is that day?
Staff for that.
Yes, if the deputy city clerk's available, she can go over the date requirements. And once again, we've been planning this very, very proactive. We presented this last city commission that allows us to pivot if we have to pivot. And so, again, given the planning and proactive approach, it allows us to be open, have all these discussions. And so, if the deputy city clerk can provide us those dates, thank you.
Good evening. I'm Leanne Williams, Deputy City Clerk. I am going to read to you a portion of the charter, and this is in the charter. At least 30 days prior to any election and all elections, the mayor shall issue a proclamation calling the election. Such proclamation shall specify what offices are to be elected, the length and time of such officers to serve, questions to be called to vote for the election, and if any, and the time and place of holding such election. After the conclusion of the qualifying period, such proclamation shall be published once a week for 4 weeks in the newspaper of general circulation published in the county. And we have the one thing I just want to clarify with that, because of the way that the charter reads, it's really thinking about runoff elections, because in a runoff election we only have 30 days to plan. So we produce the proclamation earlier than 30 days. So right now we would have had a month before qualifying to have the proclamation out for the public. We are now down to 2 weeks. Qualifying is I think it's next week. It's next week. I put up a public notice because in due diligence, we've got to notify the public. So I'm waiting for the proclamation to put the proclamation up. So yeah, we're at the deadline right now.
Mr. Mayor, as the commission of the city, we are ultimately responsible. And I believe that we made a mistake with going with Legacy Park in this scenario. But owning it is the first step, fixing it is the second. And as much as it is not the answer, I think myself and a lot of others are hoping for, I do believe we need to move forward. And so with that, I'm going to move to approve the Alachua branch as the temporary location for precinct 53 during the 26th City Commission election, replacing Legacy Park as the temporary location for precinct 53 for the 2026 Commission election. And for staff to present the results of safety inspections by the next meeting that they are provided to the staff.
Just in reference to that motion, I have no control on when those inspection reports get delivered.
That's fine. It's when the next meeting when they're provided to staff.
I'll second.
It's been moved to second. We have comments.
as I step aboard, y'all. Now, I heard him say, the public. Do you know what says public? Who signed in the paper saying anything was wrong with the Hathcock Center? Do you know any of these people over here? You don't know nobody over there. You don't even know me. So how can you sit up here and say the public sit up here and say that this is this? That's what you're saying. That's not our saying. We have been voting over there for so long, and we've been holding family events, funerals, everything over there. There's nothing been wrong with the flow. So for you to sit up here and take our voting rights from over there, that precinct, it's not right. So you need to hear us before you sit up here and say the public, because we are the public. You're not. You're just a say so. So please don't take that from us because you don't know us. You can't show me 500 handwritten signatures saying that we said that we want to change our voting polls. So us as this community, you want to talk about the public? Talk to us. Don't just talk about you because you don't know nothing about us. This is what we sit up here and we go through. I go through voting. Oh, it's a handwritten signature. I can't get my vote count.
Excuse me. Address
My
address me
name is
with your
Wilbur
question.
Jackson,
And address me, please.
Mr. Merrill Welch. How are you doing, Mr. Welch?
I'm doing great.
Yes, sir. And to all the rest of y'all, I'm very sorry. But I'm just here to speak my grounds. And this is my community over here. This is what we try to live for. And that's the only thing we living for. We had everything took from us. So now we getting this took from us. It's not right. And I hope you understand that.
Thank you.
How are you doing tonight? I just want to acknowledge, because him and I had a conversation outside, my name is Richard Bobbery. I understand the frustration with a lot of people going on in the community, and we obviously, they want to have that as a vote. But just like he said, and like the attorney said, you reiterated, safety is a concern. And since we're on a time constraint on this whole thing, it changes the perspective on how we're supposed to look at this. Unfortunately, I mean, I would have loved, like him, and I think you and I, Jacob, would agree on this, is that we would have loved to get that back before we change the precinct, but you're on a times constraint to where you might not be able to get that done in time. And I don't know how fast. He doesn't seem to know. Nobody seems to know anything because nothing is there to be known at this particular time. But it's important that safety, if it is an issue, needs to be, taken care of. If it's a possibility, and I don't know if that is, because it seems like it's even going to take some time, even if the precinct getting changed over to the library, it's going to take a little bit of time for that to even happen. So if that can come back prior to that, then maybe you don't have to move the precinct if it comes back and it's something that's in safety is going to be an issue. And that's just all I really want to say about it. And I appreciate you guys' time.
Thank you.
I'm just a little confused. This Wednesday, how many people are going to be playing bingo at the Hancock Center? The bingo is canceled at this point. No, but the bingo, is there bingo? I mean, are people still using the Hancock Center right now? Like this So 2 days from now, hundreds of people are going to go and play bingo there. I'm just curious. I saw the presentation. She said lots of people come there on Wednesday night to play bingo and have big potlucks. It doesn't seem like it's so unsafe that people can vote if people are still playing bingo there. I think you should cancel the bingo if you're going to cancel the voting.
Excuse me. Thank you. But I think that the issue is this. Right now, we don't know when the accident can happen. So right now, since we don't have no one to inspect it, we still using the building. But we're thinking about time the election come, we may have a different report for safety use. This is all we're thinking about. We're not thinking about trying to shut y'all down from where you used to be voting at. But we're looking at safety. I don't want to see nobody hurt, and then you come back to us and say, hey, so we're looking at safety. It's not that we're trying to stop you from being where you. I'm used to voting at the Hathcock Center. Boy, I would sure wish we could keep it there. But if a safety issue come up, that's what we need to put in consideration. It's not that we're trying to take away from where you used to vote. It's looking at they saying we may have to inspect this and it may not be qualified or whatever. But on that date in April. So we don't know, and we was trying to see um, would you like to be just to use temporarily the library, and that's what we're trying to get you to understand that it's just a safety issue. It's not that we're trying to deny you from being to the Hathcock Center. We are concerned about your safety.
This is Teresa Carter again. I just want to make sure I understand what you're saying, and I believe I understand what you're saying. You're going to have the building inspected, and you're just going to get back to the public in time to let us know whether we're going to be voting at the 53 precinct or we're going to be voting at the library. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that's what I want to make sure. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. Tamara Robbins. During the January 26th meeting, when the proclamation was adopted, it states in the summary page, the Cleather Hathcock Community Seniors Community Center will be under construction. Therefore, this polling place will be held at Legacy Park Multipurpose Center. Not one single mention of safety. There's no safety issue. There is now, because you want it to be a safety issue rather than the fact that it was going to be under construction, because it's not going to be under construction. So now you got to find a different reason to have it somewhere else. So if there's a safety issue that everybody's known about at the Hathcock Center, why is there bingo going on? Why is the building even open?
Can I answer that?
No, you can answer, Mr. Mayor, when I'm done, or you can stop my time. Okay? Because don't take my time for that answer. So there is no safety issue that we know about. Now I'd like to know who we're hiring to do that safety inspection, because I have a feeling it's going to come back with issues so that you guys can then vote to tear it down, because that's really what you want to do. During the milestones and objectives that was presented, there was no mention of hiring of Monarch Design in November of last year. That was a big, major $325,000 step that was going to take a long time to complete. No mention of that. There was also no mention of the rezoning process that's going to have to happen with that adjacent site that you acquired. And I still haven't received the answer to the question. There will need to be a site plan submitted to go through the review process, because just because it's a city project doesn't mean it doesn't have to have a site plan that has to be approved. You don't get to just like build stuff without a site plan, right? So I don't know why that was omitted. There's no mention of a safety issue in the last meeting. This is something new. And if there's really, truly safety issues, why has there been bingo going on there for the last months? It's not a new discovery. Now we've hired somebody. I'd like to know, who are we hiring? And why didn't you have them here tonight to say, hey, how long is it going to take you to come back with that report? Right? And now Mr. Valadares has no idea how long it's going to take. Well, why not? Why does he not say to this company, we need to have results back. Please get out and do it. Can you do it in 2 days? No, you can't? Okay, well, let me find somebody else that can. Right? There's a whole lot of unknown things. Don't know this. Like I said, lots of word salad explanations that do not square up, and the public knows the difference. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Story Lindbergh. I kind of want to apologize for how emotional I got before. I just really love our neighbors, and voting is so important. It's as important as clean water. So thank you for explaining your reasoning for the delay and the pivot. And to echo what other people said, if we're concerned about safety, should all the events move to the library or legacy? Because if we're concerned about that, then that should be, we want everyone to be safe. And also, when it comes to the deadline, I don't want you to be pressured by what you hear now, because I also called the supervisor and they told me you have 30 days before the election to amend your proclamation. Staff should double check that, because we don't know if it's now 2 weeks from now or a month. So if you get your results back by then, you can do what multiple people said. Your first choice is the Hathcock. That's what you want. I'm also wondering, how often do we do these life safety reports for such an old building? Was this a concern last year? Do we do it every couple years? Are you going to do it at every precinct? Again, who is the vendor? Because the public, we're really good at poking and finding out like what's going on. So who's this vendor? And when it comes to our neighbors, like I said, if we're any concern, they should not go there next week. You were there this week to take the picture that we put up there. So let me see. And also, say you get the date. I'm going to make up a date. Say it's March 15th, that you need the last day to amend your proclamation. You can make a special meeting, Mr. Mayor, to say, we're going to have a meeting on this day to amend our proclamation. This is the absolute last day. Is the survey back? What do we know? You can do that with one email to the clerk. And I don't know if anyone knows, the clerk is the city manager in the city of Alachua. I'm just going to sit here and see if I missed anything. I appreciate you hearing that Hathcock is the first choice. It would have been helpful if we knew that 2 weeks ago. Probably would have saved some sleepless nights for some people in the community. And just if we could be more upfront with that. So, and if we start doing events at the library and other places, it can build that repetition for folks that we're going to go there. So yes, if the commission can find out who the vendor is, I'd appreciate that.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, commissioners, city manager, I think listening to what I've heard tonight is that that you have an emergency situation on your hand, and based on Florida statute, you can deem that necessary, and you got engineers right up the road, a couple blocks from here, who can come in and do an assessment, structural assessment, and they can hire out. I've heard environmental issues. I didn't know about asbestos, but the building this probably got some issues. So you want to bring in a qualified firm that could give you the answers that you need to get, and have their stamp and approval that's going to protect you if you go to court. Because now you have publicly said you have identified a safety issue. When you have said that, then you not only have said that you know there's an issue, then that leaves the supervisor of election in a position where she now has to be questioned whether or not that building is actually certifiable to be safe for voters to go in and out. So I just want to let you know that all that you've said tonight make a lot of sense. I come to this meeting and I heard that there was going to be voter suppression. I can tell you now, I can leave this meeting with a better understanding and a better appreciation of what's being said on telephones, and the emails are not always true. And that's why I come to this meeting, because on this campaign, I not want one voter to be suppressed, because every vote in this country counts. So I just want to close out by saying thank you all very, very much for your attention. And the attorney understands probably more than I do about the Florida statutes and where we are right now. But certainly, now that you've acknowledged the fact publicly that you know there's some issues, I urge and very, very recommend to you to proceed forward in identifying this situation as an emergency and hire a firm that can come in relatively like before sundown tomorrow, because they're out there and they'll jump on this in a heartbeat, and they can do the structural assessments and come back, and environmental assessments, and come back to you within probably the next 5 to 7 days, and can tell you whether or not that building is environmentally sound and safe. So I appreciate your time, commissioners and Mr. City Manager. You've done a lot of work and a lot of foresight. I just commend you for looking forward, because that is correct. He's on the right track. He's doing the right thing. And I think everybody should get behind him because he's on target. Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Sister Mayor. My name is Glenn Anderson. The big question I have not heard tonight was, do we have the money to do this activity what's supposed to be taking place? If we got the money in the account, this or what? How can you do something and it ain't no money? Do we have money? Do we have the money to build, tear down, or move the precinct? Where's the money? All this been said, nobody never mentioned nothing about $1. So what is it? You know, when I got on the campaign trail, y'all talking about dream big. How you want the Senate bill? This and that there. I went out, I talked with the public. I got work I did. I didn't see none of the work that I show you and Rodolfo on the board, how we talking about doing the building. So my work was in vain, right? So y'all, let's be for real one another. If you're gonna do anything, do it right. Y'all sit up here, we depend on you all. We vote y'all in the seat. Y'all didn't vote us. We got y'all there. So y'all need to stand up for the public. Y'all need to stand up for the citizens. Then, if we don't step out to you all, then we'll be a failure to our city. So I think, as y'all sit on this board, Fletch about the only one out of to the meet will speak up. The rest of y'all won't say nothing. When the public come ask questions, only person I hear answer, Fletcher. Come on, let's do it right.
Thank you.
Deetra Sherman, Vice Mayor, Mayor. I struggled with coming up here to say these comments, but I cannot be the person God has called me to be and sit back there and not say anything. You talked about that you would not want to suppress the voting. That's not what you're trying to do. Let's think back to even when I ran for for city commissioner. Commissioner Fletcher wasn't here. Attorney Walker wasn't here. Mayor Welch wasn't here, but you, Vice Mayor, was here. You, Commissioner Ingerson, you, Commissioner Williams. And we all know that there were some questions about the way that the voting took places, the way that the counting was done. The voters that y'all are talking about at Precinct 53 felt as if we were not treated correctly. Our votes were not counted then. And now, because they're voicing their opinion about this precinct being changed, and you're sitting here like that it just came out of nowhere. They have grounds to question the motives behind this change at this time. We cannot sit here and act like they're just pulling weeds out of the air. No, we have a right why we're questioning the timing of this change at doing our city of elections. There have been things in the past that was not done right. And you cannot sit here and say that it has not been. And I cannot sit there and let the citizens in here think that everything has been done as an open book. That is not the case. And that's why citizens are coming forth and are putting forth our complaints about this change during this specific time of our city of election. Do we feel like we're being disfranchised? Yes. Do we feel like our voting rights are being suppressed? Yes. Once again, in the city of Alachua. There's many things that we can talk about. There's things that I know that I haven't even voiced that took place behind the scene. And a lot of other people know. But in good faith, I cannot sit there and let this vote go past and make it seem as if everything is up in front when we know that has not been the case in the past. And as I stood before you before, I said that I pray that was not the consensus of the commissioners when this came forth, and it just happened to be an overlaps. And I still continue to pray that. But I could not just sit back there and not voice my opinion and not stand up for the contentious of Precincts 53 and the way that they're feeling, the way that they feel as if their votes are not being heard once again in the city of Alachua. There's a history here. And we cannot just like breeze over it like it has not happened. And that's why the distrust is there. There has to be more transparency. There has to be better ways of communicating with those precincts, with the members of those precincts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Postel, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. So I've heard a lot. I've listened to a lot. Some unsanitized and some sanitized. However, I do believe that this is an internal issue that needs to be addressed quickly because it's spilling over and it's not making you look good at all. Whether it started with you or one person, it needs to be resolved because the people are mad with you over somebody else's mistake. And I think you need to address it. This is something that you cannot push under the rug because the burden falls on you even though someone else did it. And so people are punching you when somebody else did. You can't shield wrong and make yourself be a punching bag. It's time to really start bringing some things that are being done wrong to the carpet and deal with it. I do believe that voting is an issue not just here in this city, but everywhere. But this city has a high level of problems when it comes to voting, high issues of voting. We do need voting teams. We need a staff. Y'all need to hire a staff for voting. One person cannot do it. You need people that's going to be diversified in that team that's going to work to ensure that everybody has a chance to be counted or feel like they're counted. There were issues one time before where people came to vote and then they shut down early voting and the person was missing or MIA, whatever the case may be. I've had to come in because people come because they were shut out because of the trouble they caused to come in and ask questions about early voting and ballot drop boxes. I asked questions. I was given statutory answers that I know that the average citizen would not have access to nor how to look it up. Wrong. People need to be informed. I said this before. Education is important to your people. And if you want your people to understand what you're doing and not yell at you, please educate them. Take the time and educate them. If you have to hold their hands, educate them. They put you here because they trusted you. Please make sure you educate the people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Leon, is it appropriate this time? We do need to read the proclamation. Mr. Mayor, there's a proclamation. I'll go ahead and read it. It's City of Alachua, Florida, Office of the Mayor, Walter Welch, a proclamation. Our mayor, Walter Welch of the City of Alachua, Florida, does hereby proclaim as follows. An election is called for Tuesday, April 14, 2026 to fill seat 3 on the Alachua City Commission for a 3-year term. Whereas the successful candidate for seat 3 shall serve a 3-year term ending April 2029. And whereas the polling places will be open from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. at the Legacy Park Multipurpose Center, Alachua Branch Library, and the clubhouse at Turkey Creek. Whereas at the conclusion of the qualifying period, this proclamation shall be published once each week for 4 consecutive weeks in a newspaper of general circulation published. The witness whereof, our mayor has set his hand this 9th day of February 2026, attested by Walter Welch, our mayor. And that is the entirety of the proclamation. The appropriate motion is to pass the proclamation as read by its entirety.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question. Do we have a proclamation pre-typed for the Hathcock Center over there?
I do not have one in front of
me. There was 2 comments from the public that I would like to get answers on before voting. One is regarding our vendor for surveying the site. Have we already selected a vendor to start surveying the site? Mr. Mayor, for the city manager.
Yes, we have engaged a vendor to do the structural inspections and the life safety inspections.
And who's that?
They are GSC, does the structural, and Monarch is doing the life safety.
And we do not have a timeline as to when their surveys will be done.
At this time, I do not have a finite timeline when they'll be done. Again, I did speak with them to get it done as ASAP. The response I don't want to push them to not produce quality work.
There was another question regarding, speaking of money, is the timeline for the Hathcock Center project reliant on our request from the state legislative for the $3.5 million for the Hathcock Center?
I do not know if the director of finance is available to respond to that. I can find out that question.
So we're not sure if our project is contingent on receiving state funding?
At this time, I just, I got to go back and look at it and let you know.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm ready to vote.
I'm going to start with Commissioner Fletcher.
Mr. Mayor, I'm disappointed how this whole situation played out. It felt like we were put under a decision that was last minute. However, it seemed like everybody knew this going forward. And we're still lacking clear answers on timelines and structural issues and safety issues. And I'm really disappointed about how all this is playing out. But I do know that the Alachua Library is a much better location than Legacy Park. Due to the walkability of it. As a person who lives over in 151, I've walked actually to the library from that side, and I do know that Legacy does not have the same type of access. Same with the pedestrian bridge. So from a standpoint of that, right now, the Alachua Library is a far better choice. But there's a second part to this of that safety and site survey, which I would really like to see that before the next meeting. So we may, based on the results of that, determine if we can actually go forward with the Hathcock Center. I do not know why, if we've already engaged with vendors to perform these assessments, that they're not completed by now, or they won't be completed by our next commission meeting. But outside of that, the best decision right now is improving the current situation we're in. And the only option, before I go to that, one last question for the city attorney. Mr. City Attorney, if we're basing our decision to not have the Hathcock Center until we get these safety reports? Is it prudent for us to keep the Hathcock Center open until we receive those reports?
Have a discussion with the city manager on that issue. So I don't know enough about it at this stage. I have concerns from a liability standpoint,
Mhm.
but I want to talk to him a little bit further about it.
Okay, because that's the next part is we're making a decision based off of a potential concern while we're continuing to put people in a situation where there's that potential concern exists. And I don't think that's fair on our part to be doing that. So I do hope the city manager and the city attorney can clarify that and work to solve that. Again, this is not the outcome I hoped or a lot of people hoped, but with that, the library is the much better option. So I'll have to vote aye.
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Ringerson,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shirley Brown,
Aye.
Mayor Welch says aye.